Hey there, my name's Pete and I like pictures. Welcome in Lightroom again. And welcome to the TVOOM Snapshots. And you probably know that Snapshots is a series, an ongoing series on my channel in which I try to talk about common problems and how to solve them. Common problems in Lightroom, that is. In the last weeks, I had some very fascinating conversations about Lightroom, about photo processing, about digital photography, and one question showed up pretty often, actually did, and that was, what the frick is the difference between vibrance and saturation? We find both sliders in the Basic tab of the Develop module, and those two sliders under the Presence tab in the Basic tab are two of those sliders together with the two white balance sliders that change the color in the Basic tab. And while both sliders, Vibrance and Saturation, quite obviously change something with the saturation of a shot, both do that quite differently. So what does saturation do? Saturation does exactly what we expect it does. It changes the saturation. And that's the thing with saturation. It changes all colors equally, no matter how saturated they already are. So if we set saturation to -100, all colors are gone. By the way, changing the saturation of your shot is probably the most boring way to create a black and white photo. We can do that much more efficiently with in a different way, but we're going to talk about that in a separate video. So saturation changes the colors. Of course, very saturated colors like those oranges here, they blow out pretty easily because oranges are already pretty saturated most of the time. Same goes with yellow and red. So what does vibrance do? If we raise vibrance, you see, oh, the oranges and reds, they almost stay while only the blues really get affected. And that is the thing with the vibrance slider. There's a pretty sophisticated algorithm working in the background that only affects, or not only, but that affects the not so heavily saturated colors way more than the already saturated colors. So that is a pretty cool thing. You can balance that. There's one thing I want to show you. If we set vibrance to -100, there's still some color left. So you see, well, there's also a bit of color left in the blues. You see, if we look at the histogram of those numbers that appear, you see red is at 68.1, green is at 68.6, and blue is at 69.9. So there's still some difference. If we reset that and pull out the saturation, red 70.9, green 70.9, blue 70.9. So only the brightness stays. So we can create pretty cool effects. For example, put the vibrance very, very low and raise the saturation. We get some kind of gritty feel to that. So we can combine those two sliders, and that gives us a lot more control. So another thing, for example, my mouse doesn't really work at the moment. Have to get a new mouse. That happened today. So if we raise the vibrance a lot and reduce saturation, we can get a really smooth looking, not so extremely saturated look, and only the blues and the greens are still kind of punchy, well, at least a bit, but we can raise it, of course. So that can give very interesting effects. Another thing why this slider is really important and cool is especially with portraits. I'll show you a beautiful portrait. Okay, no, it's not beautiful. It's one of my weird selfie attempts. I just can't do selfies. I'm sorry. I tried to get some fill light. Well, okay. If we change the saturation, because the picture is really pale, you see my face and my arm where you get some weird orange tint. I don't want that. So I'm going to reset that, and I'll just raise the vibrance. You see the blue gets saturated way more, while the orange of the face stays pretty constant. So that is one use for the vibrance slider, especially in portrait processing. In general, I think my personal feel is that the vibrance slider gives me a way more natural feel to it. So in short, vibrance affects saturated colors not as much as not so much saturated colors. Did that sentence even make sense? You know what I meant. While saturation raises all colors equally. This one's for today. Bye. Till next time. To not miss any of those videos, you can subscribe to this channel.